Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Dungeon Gloves Off with Eugene Flinn. We have a new sponsor today that we'll be discussing in 2 seconds. But before that, I will need to read this disclaimer. The opinions of the host, guest, and any callers and anyone who comments are not representative of the opinion of Mr. Singer's employer or anyone associated with Gloves Off. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We have our two producers, actually our three producers, one offsite because she's not allowed to come to the dungeon, Gina, no relation to myself. And we have Liam, and we have my son, Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy, I almost just screwed that name up again. Every time I think of Daniel. Sorry, Jeremy.
Can you get him a Marlins cap?
He likes the Braves, man. He's also a New England fan, which is kind of bizarre, but yeah, that's beside the point. Okay, so our sponsor, which will be coming up in about 2 seconds, as soon as Gina, who's off site.
Gloves off.
That's right. Our sponsor today is Mayor Karen Cunningham, and we appreciate her doing that little clip for us. She'll be our sponsor until the November elections because she desperately needs the airtime because she doesn't want to come on anybody's show to discuss what the Oh, I think she should come on my show. I'd ask her very specific questions, but like Lee and Tellum, she's scared to be interviewed by anybody except for Grant Miller. But that's that's a whole different story.
Let's move on.
We're gonna move on.
Let's move on.
Okay, so the Palmetto Bay,
we're moving.
but we're gonna do that. The host muted your mic. How is that possible?
I keep unmuting it.
Okay. We're gonna do the last 10 minutes on Palmetto Bay today because I got some.
I thought we were going to talk about Palmetto Bay. Was I supposed to talk about Pinecrest today?
No. We're going to talk about Palmetto Bay. We're going to talk about if anybody doesn't know, if anybody's like living in La La Land, and they haven't figured out,
it's a very good movie. Emma Stone.
That Eugene Flinn, the former mayor, is running for mayor of Palmetto Bay again, and we're damn happy to see it. I've been asking him for 6 months now if he's going to run, and he kept avoiding my questions, my question. So he's running for mayor again of Palmetto Bay to try to bring back. I won't say make Palmetto Bay great again because I hate that line, but he's going to try to bring back some decorum and decency and intelligence to our village from what we have. So how you doing? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward. This has been a great period since I have announced. A lot of people, I think the worst comment I've had is, what took you so long?
That had to be from me. What took you so long? Why didn't you announce sooner?
You want to get everything in order. Again, I've spent a lot of years at this, getting it right. I'm very happy with the work we've done and making sure it's everything we want it to be. I sat down, I talked with a lot of neighbors. I've met with a lot of people and got the green light from a lot of different places. I'm just excited for the potential.
By the way, I call BS. You got to get your wife's permission.
You got to go to the important places. You're absolutely right. And you got to respect authority.
Happy wife, happy life, as they say, right?
Well, happy Palmetto Bay residents.
That's right.
Happy life as well.
That's right.
And I can't believe, this has been a whirlwind week for me. I had lunch yesterday with somebody who picked me up, took me to a undisclosed restaurant in South Miami. And I want to thank him for that meeting and that group that we had, the time we've met. I can't tell you the
outpouring of support.
Outpouring is not the word for it. It's palpable out there how people want to. I don't want to say go back because we want to look forward. We're not going back. We're looking forward. I'm not looking to reinstate old policies. I'm looking to move forward on new policies. A great
and
public
correct. Or
there's correction
policies.
That's needed.
That's right.
There's correction that's needed. There's a unequivocal message that the village council. We need to bring back a little diversity of opinion on there and a council that respects different opinions and move forward based upon consensus, not a single person's rule, and give staff a clear direction on this. I mean, part of the conversation I had the other day was in regards to that group home issue. and people don't understand how it came up. And in talking to several people, I think what
Okay,
it
well,
is
Pete, talk about the group home. What's the? Well, before you do, I just want to say one thing, and then I'll let you talk because this is going to be your 50 minutes. I got to tell you, the outpouring that I've received are from both the county commissioners, okay, because I know numerous county commissioners who are very, very happy you're running again, and believe it or not, certain mayors, and I say plural mayors, who obviously can't come out and say we're happy Gene's running again in the public, but in private, they've said to me, we're very, very happy that Gene's running again. And that's mayors in the general vicinity of Palmetto Bay.
Well, and I'm looking to reestablish a quality working relationship with it. One of the things I want to talk about that's disconcerting, and I'm trying to stay focused and move forward, but so many different things to talk about here. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to reach the voters. I want to thank you for the work you do. I know a lot of people don't appreciate what you do, but you know what? You're another voice that's out there. You are entitled to speak your mind. You're entitled to move forward. And again, it's disconcerting that people continue to attack the messenger in a lot of cases.
I just don't care.
Yeah, but you know what? When they attack you in the ways that they attack you, it's all designed to quell public comment because nobody wants to fall victim of that. It's like Lord of the Flies right now. There's people sitting in the seat of government that would rather just push anybody else that has a voice away so they can lord over it rather than being a generalized part of something better. We need to work together. And you and I, people don't recall this, but we didn't start off on the greatest foot when you came into office.
No.
And you know what? Look at my experience in the past. Did we not work well together?
Absolutely.
And it's not because we necessarily wanted to, but because both of us had a duty to the residents to work together. And so when I watch what's happening, what I consider to be ageism or just a total lack of respect to the opinion of current council member Marsha Matson, it both angers and makes me sad.
I have asked Marsha to come in here and explain to the residents of Palmetto Bay and other people who live in the general vicinity how the present council has done nothing but attack them over the last 2 years. And it's not like I got along with Marsha because I didn't, but I think that her voice needs to be heard because people don't understand what goes on behind closed doors, and they really, really are attacking her. You got Karen attacking her. You got Leanne Tellem attacking her. You have my good friend Steve Cody attacking her. I mean, she's attacked for giving her opinion. And if you're attacked for giving your opinion, you might as well literally live in a communist government, because everybody has a right to their opinion. Well, I may not agree or disagree with them, but they have a right to their opinion.
And so my point today is not to attack. My point today is not to be a downer. My point today is to tell everybody that's watching, everybody's participating, everybody that cares about the village of Palmetto Bay, that there is an alternative. There is a better way of doing things. We have done better in the past and we can do in the future. And I offer up my leadership to take this village forward, to continue to work hard to make it the village it can be. It's currently a great village and it can become better. And it's only better when you engage the residents. And the lack of, I was on another show recently. One of the things we talked about is one of the few good things from the pandemic is it forced the courts and it's forced government to get into the 21st century. And this Zoom platform. Now, you and I, one of the things we shared, we did a lot of town hall meetings.
I love town hall meetings. And we had times
when we had some obstructionists get up there, grab the microphone, refuse to give it back. And it was all designed to set up for the 2018 election. We know that. Mm-hmm. And those people have since disappeared. Those same people had the opinion that, Flynn's wrong. We do not need to knock down the Coral Reef building, which you and I had plans to replace, did we not?
Yes.
And we worked on it, and we were told before the election it needs to be repaired. Remember all that? People even came
said,
with,
you can't.
So what happened? The election was held. Promises were not kept. And there's a great example there. It wasn't long after I'm out of office when what happened to that structure?
It was knocked down.
Have you seen anything been
No.
replaced yet?
Nope.
They knocked it down.
And they, by the way, they have $12 million that they got from the federal government that could be used to build a new building there.
And instead, it's being used to prop up a current budget.
Mm-hmm.
And
Subsidized.
let's talk about some things that because one of the great things about meeting with you is you can come in here with a script, and within seconds you have the innate ability to break down anybody's script and to just move it deep into the weeds.
Yeah.
So, but let's go back to this $12.4 million. What would the residents do with $12.4 million? Well, the answer is we currently don't know, because there's never been a town hall meeting. There's never been any sort of scientific survey out there. There's never been a real assessment over what the people's wants and wishes are on that. And
there's never been any propaganda. I mean, the village can put up all kind of propaganda for everything, right? Everything. My opinion of selfies and all this BS that people seem to like the current administration for, or some people like the current administration, but they've never sat there and said, okay, we got $12 million. What should we do with this $12 million? This is what the village wants to do with the $12 million. Never a town hall meeting. Okay. There's no transparency on what they're planning on doing with it. All we know now is they're going to raise taxes again after that $12 million. And yes, your taxes are going up again this year, in case you don't know.
Let's talk about a couple things. What could you do with the $12.4 million? You could rebuild the Coral Reef Park building. And I'm going to call it a building. I'm not going to call it a community center, because I don't think the residents surrounding Coral Reef Park want to see a commercial full-bore community center go in there. That park is built out.
No, they don't have any parking for it.
And so, it's to replace the community center room that's used for things from, at times, tennis. The Broncos used to use it for weigh-ins and different things at the beginning. That was, its operations are currently being used in the trailer in the free play area. So, they do have a building out there, but it's a trailer. And
Can we call it a trailer park? Did I just take? I see you led me into that. It's a trailer park, right?
You just took Palmetto it right Bay out of my mouth.
Sorry about that.
No, but you're right.
I knew where you were
going.
You're
right. The current administration has turned Coral Reef Park into a trailer park. You are great with that visual. Well, let's have a couple additional positive issues with that 12.4. And see, part of being a public servant is not what your original plans are. It's the talent to work with your residents, assess and redeploy assets, to just continue to identify current challenges and to bring people together, bring your financial resources, your leadership, and your people to address those oncoming issues. Do you realize with that $12.4 million, we could have bought that 22 acres at the Palmetto Bay Village Center and once and for all put that development fiasco to rest?
And we could have gotten matching money.
We could have gotten matching money from that, but you can't, what do they say? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So there was never any consideration of that. She has no plan for the Palmetto Bay Village Center for resolving it. We had the money for it, and again, crickets in regards to what we can do with that 12.4 million. We could have, and I'm not saying any one thing. I'm telling you, we could have done most of these projects. How about the community center with $12.4 million?
Listen, I know when you and I were there, and a lot of people didn't want the community center, a lot of people did. I think it was 60-40 actually, if I remember correctly. We had designed a community center where it was going to be self-sufficient, and we weren't going to use taxpayer dollars to run it on a day-to-day basis. Now, that was just the beginning.
Our parks in general are not a proprietary business. We do not make money on our parks.
I know, but
yet when people don't want something, they say, but it's going to cost us money. Now, again, getting back to that,
it's a valid concern. No?
I've talked to a lot of people. Times have changed in the beginning. When you and I grew up, one parent worked, one parent was at home. Yeah, sometimes you went to summer camp, sometimes it's away. But now you have a lot of multi-generation families going on now. And that community center, besides the fact it could have been built as a Category 5 shelter for special needs people or special medical people, it could have been the programming in there is much needed program. Not only program for special needs, programming for grandma or grandparent and me, programming for parent and me,
Baby and
programming
me.
for just the kids. There could have been there is so much potential in there that you're not hearing talked about anymore. I mean, I don't understand why this budget year there's no discussion on level of service and what residents would like to see. And that's sorely missing. Do you recall when we first got started? We need to go back to the way we used to do this government. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a fan of government light, and you and I share one big characteristic. We both have run successful businesses. We've both had to hire and fire people. We both had to, sometimes we don't take a paycheck to make sure others get a paycheck, but then at the end of the year, we take our bonuses. So we
also have something else in common: fiscal responsibility. Okay, you didn't spend the amount of money when you were mayor on the propaganda or the PR or the selfies or everything that goes out on a daily basis from the village. And it's not like it's transparency that they're putting out there. What they're putting out there is just BS. And it's not like they're telling anybody anything that's going on in the village. It's pictures of the mayor or pictures of somebody else with families saying, "Oh, look, they like me." I mean, that's a big issue in this village is the ability to outreach to residents, to have town halls. And I bet you after I say this, there's going to be a town hall next week. By the way, there hasn't been a town hall.
There is.
There hasn't been a town hall in two years.
I hope there is.
Okay.
And I hope you take credit
and
for it.
I probably had the last town hall.
We're driving that.
Yeah.
Because getting back to it, that Zoom platform allows for people to not have to even go down the village hall. When we first incorporated, we were pleased that we didn't have to go to county hall for meetings. And now we have an ability for people to tune in for their precious moments that they have, that they can make available for this. And not only can they see it, but they can follow up with it later on. I love the
By the way, let me just
platforms.
say one thing. We're going to get to some of your questions in a little while.
Yeah, they are important.
I will go
that's
through
gonna
your
be-
questions. So if you have a question or something, just type it and we'll read it. Because there's one or two questions there that are very important to discuss.
Yeah, well, let's talk about a few things. But getting back to what we could have done with that 12.4 million, we know we
I
could
don't know what we've done with the 12.4.
We know we could have taken the Palmetto Bay Village Center successfully off the table and resolved that. I made numerous attempts to buy that property, never got the third vote to do it. We would have had the money to do that. We can talk about the Birch property and buying more land for parks. Although, quite frankly, I'm looking at this current government and thinking, please do not invest in the new projects because we're just going to end up with the 136th Street mega sidewalk fiasco. But instead,
You mean the
when
airplanes?
I looked at that TPO report that was done on the connectivity, that turned into from a connectivity report to a state of our pedestrian infrastructure. And I'm thinking this is not a time to build new. This is a time to revise, go back. A lot of ADA. I'm very proud of the fact when we came out of the box, then Public Works Director Ron Williams was very instrumental in ADA updates in our sidewalks. We had a lot of from the corners, radiuses out there, and the bump curbing that you have out there so that people that are sight impaired can feel they're in the right spot. There's more to be done on that. There's certain intersections I'd like to see the audio signalization for people that need to cross the street that might be sight impaired, hearing impaired, people that need their mobility and need to get out there. I'm very disappointed in the RTC issue in that, what I learned at your last show was that the mayors got together and negotiated with the county. And I don't understand why the story we're getting from Palmetto Bay is they want to carve out, because this apparently wasn't negotiated between the League of Cities or the South Dade Municipal Coalition from what I got. Is that what I understood correctly?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. All the cities are in for the new plan. Palmetto Bay was in for the new plan, but the showcasing that's being done by the current mayor is that no, we're going to get it carved out because we're not going to be part of it.
Well, I'm not understanding. So then did they not object when the mayors came to consensus on this and submitted this to the county? Because apparently the county's under the belief that this plan has been negotiated
And approved by Palmetto Bay.
So did this not get properly reported to the residents, or is this a situation to where instead of fighting before the group, did they fight within the mayor's group for a carve out?
I think it's a red herring.
So you think this is just more of a beauty pageant?
This
for
is
the
just
residents?
a red herring. This is just, this is just more misinformation coming from the village. I mean,
And that's the thing. Information's important. One of the
especially in a
things
small village.
when I sit down and talk to people that are appreciative of having substantive updates, they may not have been, I think they may not have always liked the news, but it was always there. And we need to move forward. There's new challenges in place. I haven't heard any real, what are we going to do now that those barricades are going to go down along the transit corridor? And by the way, one of the things that we just figured out the other day is this is not a dedicated BRT transit way. I was shocked to figure that out. This is a dual purpose transit way. There's going to be local bus service on there. It's going to serve there's going to be limited number of stops for the BRT, 104th Street, 136th Street. That's a huge gap. Is it going to stop at 144th Street, or is it not stopping again until 152nd Street? Because right now, my understanding is Publix employees and people going to Publix in general that ride the public transportation use the 144th Street stop. So are they not going? Do they have to double back from 152? But now you have the local buses that are going to serve the 120th, 124th, 128th. I would take it to mean it's probably going to serve the 144th Street. And then you have a lot of stations further south. So obviously this is one reason they didn't disclose to us that they didn't want rail, because now you've got two different operations going on. Are they going to be fully compatible? Because I assume the local bus service is going to be the typical buses. They're not going to go to the stations that you have the level boarding at. So I'm not understanding, and nobody has brought this forward. Where are our local representatives bringing this forward to our residents?
Well, Joe Cordino seems to know a lot more than our village of Palmetto Bay knows. So I'm going to have him back on next month.
And I'd like to discuss that.
And maybe I'll bring both of you guys back on. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Why now? Okay, so last time you ran, you got beat, okay, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. Why did you decide to come out and run again?
Because people that didn't support me in 2018 said they're ready to support me now. And people that supported me in 2018 have told me they will continue to support me. And I felt there was a change out there, because I feel that the race was lost on the fact that I ran a race on principle, not promises. And those were promises that were never delivered. And I think people have seen what's that expression? Something versus chaff. And, I think they've seen the difference between illusion and bread and circuses and substance. Going back to the contract, if you remember the bridge issue, and I know people have questions regarding the bridge issue. And if you remember, in 2017, I resolved that issue, and I resolved it through coming up with alternatives. And, promises were made by the current administration insofar as continuing to fight that bridge. And it wasn't their words that did that, and it was their deeds. And we've talked about the fact that the county felt that they needed to be the adult in the room, that promises weren't being kept. We looked at things that happened under traffic circles that not only were later on taken off the table by the village, that weren't funded, but actually filed a lawsuit to fight, the one at 174. Where are the turbo lanes that were originally part of the old Cutler Road plan? I don't see them in there.
You and Ed Silva worked on it. There were a lot of ideas besides the 87th Avenue Bridge. By the way, for anybody who thinks that the 87th Avenue Bridge isn't going in, I hate to break it to you, it's a done deal. Okay, it's.
I don't even think it's an issue anymore.
It's not an issue anymore. The only reason the village is fighting it is to waste taxpayer dollars and to piss off people. And it's time that the community comes together and heals over that issue. And the community's not going to be able to heal over that issue. And you were anti-bridge, and I went back and forth. I want more than one bridge, and after hearing some information,
I've always been consistent
yeah.
in my positions, but my positions have always included you've got to have alternatives in there, and you can't just take the position that we're a sovereign nation because we found out otherwise. We are not a sovereign nation. We don't even have uniformity as what's going on in the council. And I don't mean as far as everybody's got to vote 5-0. To the contrary, you've got one statement being made, one meeting by the village attorney, and I think he was right in what he had said.
Listen, even the village attorney behind closed doors and said the bridge is inevitable.
No, he said that in public.
Oh, he said that in public? Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
I saw your video you put out on that.
Okay, so he said it in public. The fact of the matter, we're going to get a bridge for good or for bad. But it became
inevitable because of the lack of cooperation with the county, which gets back to what you said. The county commissioners are very happy I'm running. And it's not because I'm a pushover, because we know that isn't. We know when I came out of the box at the beginning, we actually got control of our parks earlier than Miami Lakes that had incorporated 18 months before us. I fought hard on police issues and monetary issues, and Miami Lakes benefited by that. They got over $1 million back because I refused to pay for certain things in transition that Miami Lakes had paid for. And then Commissioner, I think it was maybe Sejas had said, well, if Palmetto Bay's not going to pay for them, we're going to reimburse Miami Lakes for having paid for them. I never got a thank you card, but that's okay. But you know what? That's focusing on the issues, and that's fighting hard. And as Commissioner Moss,
along the way, it's explaining to residents why you're doing certain things and not sitting there and hiding the bagel or whatever you want to call it, right?
Didn't you publish the contract, the social media contract that when the village hired that group after the bridge hit the fan?
Yes, I put it out there.
And didn't that contract call for not really educating the residents? I looked up that group, and I was actually very excited about that group because they've done NEPA studies and they've done resident involvement. I thought we were going to get that. But instead, if you looked at the contract, what we got was social media crisis management, which
that's exactly what it is.
CYA for politicians. And that's, you're taking residents' money to spend on them, to not focus the ire where it needs to be. But let's do something that the village doesn't do. Let's look at some of these questions here and see what we can answer.
Can we scroll up to the top?
So what do we got here?
Okay, so you can't see that. So Renee goes, Yahoo, talk about Palmetto Bay for 60 minutes. Facebook user, apparently Mayor Cunningham may not be able to face the truth. Kelly Willis says Palmetto Bay needs a good mayor. Thanks, Eugene. Renee once again says, what's his view on the 87th Avenue Bridge? I think we covered that.
I opposed it. I'm on the record of opposing it. I'm not on the record of wanting alternatives to it.
Doesn't really make a difference.
It's at best with the current lawsuit, at best what happens is it just comes back for another vote. And I think those votes are cast. Look, I talked to a lot of the TPO meetings.
I would bet money that bridge is done.
After the vote was taken, let's be brutally honest here. I probably got more phone calls from TPO members than the current representatives on this village council did. And one will tell me, I won't divulge his name.
Don't.
I won't divulge his name, but he said to me, Flynn. God, I don't have a first name, but some people know. He says Flynn.
Either do I.
He's a person I've known since law school and undergrad, and went on the Notre Dame.
So you're a practicing attorney, unlike the two
that. Right. Let's keep this positive. But he said, Flynn, what do you want us to do? There's a meeting held, and nobody from the village of Palmetto Bay showed up to even put an objection on the record.
That's because she was.
And I know you've put out the video that
I'm sorry, she was busy. The mayor, instead of showing up at the most important meeting in Village Palmetto Bay history, whether you were for the bridge or not for the bridge, was doing selfies in Car Reef Park.
But part of being a good mayor, and if you recall, I thought I did a very good job of delegating. I thought I did a very good job. We had Larissa take charge of a lot of things.
Yeah.
You took charge of a lot of things. You and then Vice Mayor Dubois worked very well together on fiscal issues.
That's right.
I worked with then Vice Mayor Dubois on a pineland protection ordinance. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but we have one.
No, your
now.
your way was not the only way. You brought
And-
everybody into the group.
And that's what we're going to do again.
Uh,
And getting back to that, they did discuss this the Monday night meeting
Mhm.
before the Monday night council meeting before the Tuesday morning TPO meeting.
Okay, so let's.
And the mayor
okay.
could have designated the vice mayor to go.
Yes.
Anybody from District 1, 2, or 3 could have sent the village attorney or the manager, or could have sent the clerk to read a letter they could have done under new business and said that we object.
That was
we asked for a continuance. We asked for time to have this settled. But when you don't show up, you're not counted.
okay. So the residents in District 2 have nobody else to blame but Karen Cunningham because they did not have proper representation. Let's see. Go back up a little. Okay, what's his view on the bridge? I like this guy already. He looks like my Republican grandfather. Well, actually, he's a great-great-grandfather.
Must be a very
yeah.
young grandfather.
Please stop the group home, which we'll talk about in a second. Use money to finish the traffic grid. That's up to the county. I mean, I'd like to see 2 bridge going on 77th if you want to know the truth, but let's get 87th built. Great comment about community center being a hurricane shelter. That's what the plan was. Under Karen, our building department is no longer self-sufficient. It's costing us taxpayers money. Absolutely, a lot of taxpayers' money is
We got to
going to
wonder
pay.
who's
for the building.
pro-development when you're waiving all permit fees for
Yeah.
everything. I mean, if I'm not doing any work on my house, why am I subsidizing other people's permits to go out there and do
Mhm.
things? That is supposed to be a proprietary business. It should be self-sustaining, and growth should pay for it. And it's not like we haven't had a lot of growth under this current administration. The growth I've had under me. Let's look at what was approved while I was mayor. I fought hard against that 174th Street apartment building that's going up, that's still going up and going way, way up. I heard some other council members say on the Michael Miller show that the mayor trying to improperly imply that Mayor Cunningham was the only vote against it. No, check the record. Mayor Flinn was the one that I didn't take a vote of convenience. Look at the Miami Herald article on it. I fought hard against that, and unfortunately I lost, and unfortunately those area residents are paying the price. But let me ask you, David, remember when you came aboard, did I not delegate a lot of responsibility to you to tweak
absolutely.
that downtown code?
Absolutely.
What was your vision for the downtown code? Was it these apartment buildings that are going in?
My vision, and it could have been easily done, and actually I was the only one who did not vote for the new downtown code because I thought it was going to destroy Palmetto Bay, as is being currently destroyed right now, was less apartments, because we were actually approved at that time for 3,500, if I'm getting these numbers correct, and now we're approved because of the new council 6,000 apartments. So you got about a 40 to 45% increase in apartments in Palmetto Bay. So think of this as a fact, okay? You got 7,000, I think, single-family homes. You're going to have just as many apartments as single-family homes because of the new zoning code that was passed. With my objection, with my only my objection, okay. I just don't think that Palmetto Bay should be I have no problem with apartments. Everybody's lived in an apartment once or twice, but I don't think that apartments should overwhelm the single family homes, which is what's going to happen over the next couple of years. And right now it would be very, very difficult to actually turn that back. So when 6,000 apartments are built, you can thank the current mayor, Mayor Cunningham.
Well, the sad thing is, look at that. We had one of the projects.
Mine was a downtown area that had office buildings because I thought it was important. People didn't have to drive down to, the Gables or to Coconut Grove or to downtown Miami. They could have office buildings where they could work at home and drive to their office building. Okay. Entertainment, more restaurants, some entertainment facilities. So once again, we could stay in our own little village, the people that wanted to stay in our village, and also a community center, which, by the way, a community center, all that is a vertical park. So it would have been a community center a vertical park that we could use during the summer months and for kids to go to camp there and stuff like that. So, because we all know how hot it is in June, July, and August, we could have used that instead of going out to parks. There could have been a lot of things. There could have been a lot of positives.
And
at
there
the
still
community
can
center,
be,
and
there will be in the future.
Okay.
We've got alternatives to move
and
this
by the way,
village forward.
And we've came up with ideas, myself and Ed Silva, to make it self-sufficient. So we weren't charging the residents tax dollars out of their real estate tax bills to support it.
And again, let's mention this was coming totally out of village money, which meant that we could have a 2-tier fee schedule out of it because
Correct.
we weren't taking grant money on it.
That's right.
So we could have had, like the Gables had in other areas,
Yeah, so
a resident discount.
Yes, correct.
A resident discount. So if you were worried about non-residents using it, and they could have, and they would have helped subsidize it, but they would have paid the non-resident rate because we did not get bond money or any other money that would have required a restriction on that. That can't be emphasized enough. But the other part of it is, you remember the prior administration, Mayor Stanzik approved a 1,400 student station charter school there. That's in the record.
Correct.
And then it came before us with your predecessor, and we successfully got it reduced to significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And then we not only, we did to we did to the Shores property what we now could do to the Palmetto Bay Village Center, which is resolve that developmental issue.
That's right.
With that $12.4 million.
Listen, we had it. We
not only, when we bought that section of land there,
mm-hmm.
we imposed upon him the covenant that there would be no charter school on the remainder. You're welcome.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that
ahead.
was going to be.
We thought ahead.
Yeah.
There was an issue there. There was a problem there. We worked with residents and we worked it out.
Okay,
and he opposed that. What problem has been solved in the last 4 years?
No problem.
Because
because we haven't got through litigation yet.
It hasn't been the downtown area because nobody, when we did all those community meetings, nobody said, I want to see on 1 acre of land. They want to have 0.98 acres for a community center. Nobody said, I want to see a medical building of 75,000 square feet or 72,000 square feet on 0.95 acres. And right next door to current residential, there's no buffer there. One of the things that we made sure, a number of the things we made sure of, but what was lost apparently in this current downtown code was under the one that I enacted, which by the way, Karen Cunningham voted for, never voiced a single objection over to that. So I heard that Councilman Cody at one point said, well, Flynn's administration, Flynn was 1 of 5 votes. Well, that's the same thing that applies to that downtown code in 2015. I was 1 of 5 votes, as was Cunningham. Cunningham voted for it. There's no record of objections to that. We look at the votes. I voted against the project on 174th Street. I thought it was out of character for the neighborhood, and it's proven me right since then. And that's something that's been on there. I wish I could have swung 2 other votes to go with me. Obviously, it wasn't going to be Cunningham. But that medical building on who envisioned putting a medical building on our main street, Franjo Road? Who did? This current council.
That was, and I think that had a lot to do with contributions.
Well, it's just a shame because, again, look at this way. Most of us live on a third to a half of an acre.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a house of between 15 and 3,000 square feet. So put that in perspective. Put 2 of your lots together and think of it. You've got between those 2 lots, you've got between 3,000 and 6,000 square feet of homes on a typical lot in Palmetto Bay. Now go back and see if your vision is to take that lot on Main Street around a historic RU home district, homes that have been there for coming up on 100 years. And we're going to put 5 stories and 72,000. And when they tell you that, and you see the groups out there talking about this code, when they tell you that there should have been a cap of 4 feet, remember, 4 stories, this is 5 stories. And one of the things you never had under prior administrations was we had a hardship variance, which meant you could only build the code. They actually approved the building that, to what I see, a floor higher with a whacked parking plan on
No,
it.
there's no
It was
parking.
done
There's
through-
no parking.
It was
There's
done
no
through
parking plan on there.
variances. And
There's
the problem when you have, one of the things I will do when I get back in the office is repeal the ordinance that has allowed for these really wacky variances that allow for things like this. Because one of the things you want, and what I want to deliver back to our residents, is predictability. It should not be a danger to live next to a vacant lot. But normally you look to the code and say, what can be built there? And you can sleep at night. But when you find out that due to the use of variances, you're now waking up to a 5-story medical building that should have had close to 200 parking spaces
And it has
and was
65, right? Whatever it
approved
is.
for something
something
ridiculously
ridiculous.
low.
Yes.
And 5 stories. I mean, there's no certainty. We need to restore that back to Palmetto Bay, and I will bring that back to Palmetto Bay.
I think that deal with that office building. I mean, I hate to talk out of turn, but I think that deal with the
I
office
don't think
building
you do.
was worked.
You talk
was
out of turn quite often.
Yeah, I know. Was worked out way before it even went in front of the council. If you know what I mean. And I'm not one of those guys and a conspiracy kind of guy, but I
Never.
saw the way it went down. I think that was worked out way before that went in front of the council. Anyway, let's talk to some because there's a lot of questions here for you. Okay, we're taxed 6% on our electricity uses for 30 years because Karen Cunningham voted it in. Talking Karen must go. By the way, just to let everybody know, when your electric bill goes up, not only is it FP&L, but it's also because of Karen Cunningham and the rest of the crew. I mean, that was supposed to be a diminishing tax that was supposed to go away in 3 years. It was supposed to go from 6 to 4 to 0 or whatever.
No, it was 3.5.
Okay.
Remember, was
that was 3.5. 3.5 to it was supposed to go down to 0. Okay. And Karen and Patrick and all these guys all voted to keep that tax at 6%. Okay.
No, to move it up to 6%.
Move it from 3.5 to 6% instead of 0 to 6%. And Patrick voted for it, and Karen voted for it, and Steve Cody voted for it, and Lee and Town voted for it. So when you're paying 6% more on your tax bill, on your electric bill, you can thank them. Okay.
Now, let me ask you something. When you have a government that's dependent upon this tax on your electric bill, and remember, you're a disabled person. Well, let's not go there.
Okay, so here we go.
But going back to
okay,
one
wait.
thing, you don't have an incentive to go to Tallahassee and fight for lower tax bills when your government revenues go up commensurate with the electric bills.
Okay,
that 6% gets bigger.
I assure you that when push comes to shove, you look at what the residents of Palmetto Bay pay in taxes.
That's a hidden tax.
It's a lot more. I know it's a lot more than Pinecrest. It's a lot more than probably South Miami. It's a lot more than I'm sorry, I said that. Than Cutler Bay. And we pay a lot of taxes, and I'm not sure we're getting the services that are worth it. Okay.
Well, you got to ask yourself: are you better now than you were? Absolutely.
You're not. You're not better now than you were 3.5 years ago.
You have people now, former council member, that owns property across from the village in the area that at one point was looked at for annexation. And he asked himself, am I better with my property in Palmetto Bay? And of course he's not, because he's one of the people that have fought to be annexed.
But he's a supporter of Karen because he knows he's not going to get annexed.
That deal's been cut.
That deal's been cut. Okay, so Facebook user, this is showcasing the profound difference between finger in the wind, uninformed coffee club incompetence, and focus, goal-oriented professionalism. Think about it. Listen to Mr. Flinn carefully. That's a nice little compliment, actually.
Thank you for that comment.
The 22 acres. Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer. The 22 acres at Palmetto Bay Center is incredibly environmentally valuable. Well, we all know. Listen, you're talking to two guys here that have been
very active with
very
the
active
Miami Pineland Pineland Coalition. I mean, there's a lot.
Don't let your buddy tell you it's not Pineland. Remember, it's not Pineland.
It is Pineland. It's coastal, a transitional area.
Yeah.
It needs to be saved. And the bottom line is, if it wasn't environmentally sensitive, it wouldn't be on the county's environmentally sensitive list. They don't put parking lots on the EELS list.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we fought for.
Yes.
It's on the B list. and it
And
should
we could
be
still
purchased.
purchase it.
And then all those developmental
right.
rights go away if we bought
So
it.
it's less. It would be less apartments on Old Cutler Road. Okay, wait. Go scroll back up because there are a couple things. Okay, the 22. Oh, I said 22 acres. Okay, beautiful Renee. David will sue you. I sue people who break the law. I will support you. Thanks, Ira, for both comments. Don't worry, fam. I'll vote for you twice. Yeah, well, welcome to Miami. Hell yeah. Bring on the bridge, baby. Now we have to.
I understand. Hey, look, I'm happy for you,
Yeah.
for the pro-bridge people. You've got what you fought for a very long time. I felt we had a very good issue-oriented thing. Be happy in your victory. Let's be humble in it, and let's hope we don't have any, because the mayor and Patrick, they live nowhere close to the impact of this bridge.
Listen, let's just hope that they go. Let's just hope that they move forward on the 77th Avenue Bridge, so not one group of family homes get hurt. I always said, do it across the board. Don't sit there and have one group of family homes hurt. Okay, now we have to county proceed with the 77th Avenue connections. I love bagels. What's his view on ESG?
ESG.
Sorry, I'm reading these. Okay, Jim Haas. Gene, what happened with a new pedestrian bridge proposed at Snowden's Canal Crossing?
It's a good question. We had a lot of programs that were going to start in 2019. They were going to break ground on things. And I don't want to hear about the pandemic because we all remember construction was always exempt from the pandemic. Did any development stop because of the pandemic? The one people that, besides our first responders and essential workers, construction continued. And that would have been the perfect time to do those type of things. I'm so disappointed that the village missed a perfect opportunity. So what? They waited for traffic patterns to start to return to normal, people to go back to their offices, people to go back to school, and now they want to go back and tear up Old Cutler Road. Why wasn't this done when people were working remotely and people were going to school remotely? I mean, did they not sit back and, I'm not going to ask that as a question. They obviously didn't sit back and assess whether they should have accelerated some of their programs.
Okay, please keep going. How can we get rid of Cody? I think his mortgage company is going to do us a favor and
That's more positive thing.
Okay, but I'm just saying his mortgage company is going to help us on that. What's his view on the Great Reset?
The Great Reset.
I don't know. What's his view on CRT? I don't know. During the most recent, what is it? Great. I don't know. During the most recent CAL meeting, there was discussion that the council members wanted to be involved in the legal applications and permits before decisions are made. Comment. I don't know. I got to take some.
First of all, let me tell you, they are. And let me tell you how. They set policy. The council, I once had an argument with one of our first village manager. And I said, you've bringing stuff before us that there's no way I can support. I think it negatively impacts our community. And the one thing I said he told me was, you don't see what we turn down. Because when the council, even though they count votes and they figure things are going, look, when the village attorney
that's a terrible way to manage a village is count votes.
No, but I'm saying they do. Yeah. And if they know that there's a strong policy not for it, because the council may not control staff. The staff works for the manager. They deeply influence the manager. So in essence, they indirectly. And
by threatening his job.
When you don't give clear direction, staff is adrift because they don't know, should I do this? Am I stepping on someone's tail to do that? Is this what they're looking for? And I think the group home is a perfect example of that. That is not a group home. Now, that was put forward by a former interim village attorney who worked under Mayor Stanzik. So I don't know what they felt about the thing, but the definition of a group home is a group home. It's people that can't live in a traditional family. And, where are you going to put these people? In a warehouse district in the Falls? No, they deserve to live in a neighborhood. But when I came out and spoke against that, to me, the definition is dependent upon, are these people that are going to live and be invested in our community? And in a group home, they technically, even though they don't have a specified term to live there, they're going to be people that you could reasonably expect want to live in a residential setting, be able to go and participate in our parks, our senior program, our special programming, our movie nights. These are people that you would see in the group home. But if I told you to go out, if I created a group home scavenger hunt, I'm betting that 99.9% of you couldn't find the 10 or 11 group homes that are there in the village of Palmetto Bay. And when I had lunch with the people yesterday, we discussed this, and I said, we've driven by one. You probably didn't notice.
I got one in my neighborhood.
Yeah. So,
but it's a group home for the aged.
They're group homes.
Okay.
They're people that want to live there. 30 to 90 day treatment programs where you have a constant turnover of people is not it may be a residential program in terms of you're sleeping there
but it's
for
not
the
a group
night,
home.
but it's not a group home.
My idea of a group
I would
home.
have challenged that,
Yeah.
and it was a very defensible thing out there. I don't know how staff let that one by, and I think there needs to be some accountability on that. And now I think the residents are left with retroactive coming in at the last minute trying to make changes. I was very impressed with the residents that came forward.
Oh no, I've never seen more residents in the
But I
were
will
more
tell you
residents than I've
one
seen in a long
thing you
time.
never saw when I was mayor that you will not see when I'm mayor again is council members excoriating.
Oh no, and but I
cross-examining
got to take the
and
council members
attempting to
had no
batter our
absolutely no.
own
Leanne
residents.
Tellum.
No, let's not use the names
I'm
in there
going because I sat there and I drove. I was so annoyed and I was watching it on TV and I said, I cannot sit there and let these council members disrespect our residents, okay, like they did in that hearing. It was the most, Leanne Tellum is the most disrespectful person I've ever seen on the council, bar none.
All right.
Okay,
but
that's my deal. Okay, let's keep going.
I'm going to be working with her after November.
Okay, so you can tell her you hate me. Okay, that'll make it easier.
Getting back, and remember, you and I did not come into a easy thing, but we worked together.
Yeah, but there's a difference between disrespectful and arguing back and forth on the council than disrespecting residents who are basically paying your salary.
But there's also a decorum ordinance, and it should have been asserted by the mayor, who's the chair, the procedural chair on that. And the comments should have not been addressed directly to the residents. Everything should have been done through the chair. And we should have had a procedure where I talked to residents afterwards. They were glad they didn't get up to speak because they didn't want to face that from their own people that they may have voted for or maybe they didn't vote for. That's not the kind of treatment they expected. And again, it's not respecting diversity of opinion. And I'm telling you, I have a better understanding of what a group home is than most out there, having seen it and the impact of what a quality group home is in the village. And I respectfully disagree that the interpretation the planning department gave to that is a group home. And that should have been brought forward for a hearing. And it should have been said, we don't believe that you meet. We need to have a quasi-judicial proceeding on this to make a determination. Let's hear the facts and give the residents a voice on this.
Okay.
But instead it was passed through. And getting back, there's way too many things that are being done administratively.
That's because
the Palmetto Bay Village Center, we come back to that.
That is because the council doesn't want to take any responsibility.
How do you have something come before the council?
Yeah.
They vote no on it. And yet then you find out later on that there's administrative attempts made to go through it. Yeah. We saw that in a blog by Political Cortadito about, they're saying that they're distressed of what the county did to them on the bridge, but yet they tried to do that same type of tactic, if I understood her blog article correctly, on the Palmetto Bay Village Center. That's something you didn't get under me. That's something you won't get under me again. And that's why I'm humbly asking for your vote so we can get back to moving forward.
Well, you're going to be on my program.
Let's get this village
I can promise that because we have so many questions. I can promise the residents and the people watching that you're going to be on my program once a month until the election. Okay, and then after that, we're going to have a party on my program. Okay, so I want to give a shout out to a couple people who actually asked questions that I'm not going to be able to get to. Al, how you doing, buddy? I'd love to go back to the skating rink days. I miss working at Kendall Skating Rink. Lisa, who basically makes the American Legion what it is today. She's great. She's wonderful. If you've never been to the American Legion and you want to go there for dinner, they have They have dinner at the American Legion, different meals every day because they have the trucks come in, the food trucks, and then you can get a pop afterwards at the American Legion. Kelly, thanks again. Scroll down. Hey, Patrick Deary, how you doing?
Patrick Deary.
He was somebody who I don't think appreciated me at one time, and I think he.
We all go through that.
Yeah, I
phase
know.
with you.
I don't. Jill, hello, how you doing?
Hey, Jill.
I'm gonna have him back on in August. So there's a lot of questions here, and we got to wrap this up in 60 minutes. Jennifer Finger, hello. I do ask everybody. When I have him on next time, we'll go through all the questions first, and then we'll let him start pontificating about his positions on certain things. You'd be okay with that, right?
Talking about it, but it is a little bit to a disadvantage that you have somebody that never articulates a position and I firmly believe that's why you don't have any town hall meetings, because when you keep everybody in different rooms, it allows the politician to deliver different messages, carefully tailored
to the person
who's in the room.
And believe me,
and I believe that's why you need to have meetings where everybody's in the same room and say, what do you mean? Because
and it's on record. Yeah,
it's on record. There's just too many things said to too many different people. The bridge is one example.
Listen, it's very easy to walk up to somebody's door, knock on their door, find out what they think, and just parrot it. So you can get their vote.
You look down and you see what they're. You
can find out whether they're Democrat, Republican, or an independent, and you can actually just parrot their opinion so you get their vote. Anyway, I'm going to let him go. I got 5 minutes to finish this up.
It's been a pleasure.
He wants
I want to continue to. No, David, I want to keep going.
Why are you angry today?
Positive.
David, love
positive. We talk about the Palmetto Bay B, the Palmetto Bay P's that I first articulated. Police, planning, public works, the public participation. Another one that we need to move forward on is positive. And we need to continue to keep Palmetto Bay positive. We need to get back to that. And, I think that some of the worst forms of negativity you have is that there is out there in Palmetto Bay is a lack of participation, the disenfranchisement of people, the absolute arrogance that what's best, that they know, they think they know what's best for you and don't want to involve you in how they spend your money, or even be upfront and make the case as to why they're raising your Social Security, or even making it like that somehow they've cut down development in the downtown area when development has exploded. That project behind Hole in the Wall, 184th Street, that was done even after you left the council. That is firmly on the hands of this current mayor and council. The medical building currently in the hands of this mayor and council. The fact that they turned over the street and made an offer of allowing them to waive off on the impact fees and instead invest in 174th Street. If you remember, it was this show that broke it, that they did not put the conditions in there that I think you and I put in there. Even though I voted against the project, I wanted to see conditions in there that prevented them from turning into the neighborhoods and forcing them to turn out toward
and they didn't even realize that
I think
realize
that was when they did the resolution giving up control of the street from the city to the developer and exchanging impact fees in that. I think that was a subtle way of undoing an order by resolution, undoing a development order by simple resolution and hiding that fact from the residents. And then what happened after that? The city said that, I understand the city acknowledged it, was going to take action. Have we confirmed, David, that the city took action and that has been corrected? Have you followed up on that?
No, but that was,
or was that just a simple promise made that hasn't been fulfilled?
Find out.
So let's go back and take a look.
We'll find out, and when we come back, and we'll do it. Okay, so get out
but
here.
Anyway, I want to
actually,
thank
you can stay. You can stay, or you can just go. Okay. So anyway, so let me just shout out a couple other people. Thanks, David. Peace and love, dude. Thanks, Mayor Flynn. Don't forget the Sunshine Foundation. You know what, Michael? I will make sure that my next program, I spend the first 10 minutes talking about the Sunshine Foundation because it's a great charity and a donation. Ira, we'll get a link. I'll send out that information. And you're right, Miami-Dade, City of Miami, everybody's lowering their tax bills, except for considering we're going into a recession and we got inflation, except for Palmetto Bay. And your tax bill is going to go higher. So anyway, let's talk about something I uncovered. Gene didn't want to be around this. So we found out and I actually didn't realize this. Gina, get ready to pop that up on the screen. That our council member Steve Cody has a $5,000 fine, okay, lien on his house placed on his house by the Village of Palmetto Bay. This actually is interesting because it came in my email address. No, go back to the first one, please. It says, last night, Karen's sidekick went on a rant about righteousness, following the law, and obeying the rules before voting against residents. By the way, this guy has voted for more tax increases than you have any imagination. He has a $5,000 fine and lien on his house. Okay, I think it's from 2018 or 2017 for some sort of structural issues or something to do with his backyard or something. $5,000, and at the same time he owes the Village of Palmetto Bay $5,000. Okay, and there's a lien on his house. He's consistently voting to increase your taxes when he has not paid this fine off. This is what you call a con man. Okay, he is not a council member. Steve Cody is a con man, and he's conned everybody. Okay, can you pop the next screen up? Okay, there's the lawsuit that is actually through the court system, Miami-Dade court system. You can look it up. It's clear as day. Okay, it goes along with the foreclosure notice that they're foreclosing on his house because he hasn't paid real estate taxes either in 8 years. The banks had to pay for it. He's living in his house tax free and raising everybody's taxes in the Village of Palmetto Bay. He voted for the largest tax increase in Palmetto Bay history. He wanted it even larger. Okay, in Palmetto Bay history. He's not paying his taxes, not paying his mortgage. He's got a $5,000 lien on his house because of some sort of construction defect on his house, or he did something. Okay, and here he is at the same time raising taxes for everybody. Steve Cody should not be in public office. Steve Cody should actually be in jail. The guy is a con man. Okay, I'm not going to say criminal, although he had to plead no contest to a criminal charge of bad checks. So I don't understand how, and by the way, the village attorney has never gone after him for that $5,000. Never gone after him for that $5,000 that he owes the village. The village pays him $1,000 a month. He should be taking his monthly salary and paying off the Village of Palmetto Bay before he gets one check, just like any other resident, okay, in Palmetto Bay. If you had a $5,000 lien on your house, you'd be paying that $5,000. Steve Cody thinks he's too good to pay the Village of Palmetto Bay while he's receiving a check from Palmetto Bay on a monthly basis. This guy has to go. And I know it's going to be 2 years down the road, but this guy is a con man and a scumbag. And he should have never been elected. And I blame that on myself because I'm a little bit crass and I tell the truth. This guy's never told the truth in his life. Okay, so he got the residents got suckered. He is a total scumbag and should not be serving the fine residents of Palmetto Bay. And with that, that's my show for today. I look forward to next week. We'll have the mayor of Cutler Bay on, Tim. He promised me he'd be on the show next week. And Eugene Flinn will be on in August again. So that's it. Thanks everybody for watching today. Be good, be happy, and be safe. And remember, we need to put focus on keeping everybody's taxes down because of the economy right now, and because of the fact of what's going on with the economy and whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Thanks everybody. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace out.